So, we start with arguably the slowest of the bunch. It does have its perks to it, though, in the fact that it's really light and it's nimble. If you choose to run this car in the league, I imagine there will be very little competition for you. As you can see, there are no weight reduction upgrades, but you will need high lift camshaft, high compression pistons, power restrictor and ballast, crankshaft, fully customizable, limited slip diff, manual transmission, body rigidity, balance tuning, polished ports, air filter, silencer, manifold, brake pads, discs, suspension, clutch, and due to rules of the series, hard tyres, intermediates and wets will be needed as well, and high lift camshaft will probably be good as well. The tuning for this car very simple, very much set up for the handling side of things, because it's not the fastest car. You'll want to down the body height to 95 on each. I have my car personally set up to understeer, so I have more anti-roll bar on the front than on the rear. You want to down the damping ratios and up the natural frequency. I haven't touched anything to do with camber angle or toe angle on this car, or the differential. Here is the rest of it. Pause the video and read through it at your own sake. And with that, let's move on to the next vehicle in the list, which will be a series, the next few vehicles will all be a series of hot hatches available to run in the league. These are a step above the Corolla in the fact that they're faster, but the Corolla should be in the same sort of region when it comes to handling. With the Civic here, you'll want stage 1, 2 and 3 weight reduction. This because it is tuned out without a turbocharger. It is one of the it has the least horsepower, so to make up for that, I have given it a much higher power to weight ratio, fully customizable manual transmission and fully customizable diff as always, body rigidity, and as you can see, power restrictor and ballast. You'll want pretty much everything apart from stroking it up, and because there is no turbo, there is no need for an intercooler. Average stuff on here. Racing cards. I haven't bought wet tyres yet for it, but titanium connecting rods and high lift camshaft, just to squeeze as much power out of it without touching the engine size. Right, so in terms of tuning, the only thing I have touched is the suspension, and that is to make it oversteer a bit more. I have downed both body height adjustments to 100mm. Anti-roll bar on the front is set to 4 and on the rear 7. You can see I've downed all the damping ratios again. Natural frequency set to the point that a race car would be at. I haven't touched the diff, haven't touched any of this. Oh yes, I have downforce, right. There will be pretty much none allowed. So to allow for mechanical grip, there will be 0 and, well, arguably 0, but that's because of the wing. I can't put it any lower, as you can see. Here is the rest of all that. You can see most of it either normal or racing. The next car on the list, let's go with the earliest car of the bunch. Right, Renault 5 Turbo. Good car, possibly the fastest out of the hatchbacks that we've got here. You'll need weight reduction stage 1, stage 2, power restriction ballast as always, and stage 3, body rigidity. You can see, right, medium, first of the properly turbocharged ones here. You'll need a medium RPM turbocharger, and that will put it up to about 234 horsepower on top of all the standard engine upgrades, tyre upgrades, and titanium connecting rods and pistons. No anti-lag system because it's the 80s. Turbo lag is everything. And let's get some tuning now. Of course, this is the earlier model of the Renault 5. The version which would have been racing in the late 80s would have been the Turbo 2, which sadly we don't have, but we can. It's about it's pretty much the same car, just with less extreme aerodynamics. I believe this is the. I downed these by 10. Standard is 115 and 105. Once again, this one's tuned to slightly understeer due to the fact that it's mid-engine rear-wheel drive. Basic damping. Natural frequency has been upped. Haven't touched any of that. Haven't touched the differential. You want to down the output using the fully customizable ECU to about 92, so you get about 234 brake horsepower if you have all of the correct upgrades. And then here is everything on this side of the graph. Now this is one of the more difficult cars to set up. I think it's possibly the last of the naturally no, it isn't the last of the naturally aspirated cars. You will need stage 1 and stage 2, and possibly, yes, all 3 available weight reductions, and the standard ones that I've shown you on here many times now. To get the most power out of the car, you will need to get the racing crankshaft, high lift camshaft, high compression pistons, balance tuning, polished ports, give it a racing air filter, silencer, manifold, and then brake things, suspension things, clutch, and then you'll need the high lift camshaft. In terms of tuning, this was a bit difficult for me to tune because depending on how you want your car to look in the league will depend on whether you need the wide body for the car. It only costs 10,000 for the car, and it doesn't really do a lot. But right, body height I have left as is when you get the fully racing customizable suspension. Anti-roll bar on the front is set to 4, that's set to 7 on the rear as to get better turn-in, because it's quite understeery on turn-in as standard. Damping ratio on the front is 23 and 23 because it's not that good at handling bumps if I put it down to what I was normally putting it to. You'll want higher damping ratio on the front than in the rear, once again just to get better, stop it understeering mid-turn and corner exit. Max out the natural frequency. You'll want about 1.5 on the camber angle on the rear compared to the standard 3. Toe angle has been down from 0.2 inwards down to 0.10, once again for better turning. And here is everything else. Haven't touched anything else on there other than suspension. Now we get to the fun cars. Here with, let's start with the M3. This is tuned to full Group A spec, or as close to it as I can. This, I'm not going to cover the regular M3 E30 from 1989 because it's just the exact same tuning setup. You'll need all of the weight reductions available to you, body rigidity, fully customizable gear for transmission. In terms of the power, you will need to high lift camshaft, racing crankshaft, balance tuning, silencer, exhaust manifold, all of the good stuff for braking and suspension here, and then nothing on here. Very beginner friendly car this is to build. If you want to enter the league, I would recommend this car because you don't get access to the ultimate tab until you're a high enough level. In terms of tuning for this car, all of these cars have been tuned so that in my hands I can set within 2 laps about a 1:34-ish time around the Brands Hatch GP circuit. Here's the body height. It's been downed as much as it can be. You can see all of the... This really has no problem with turning and whatnot. It's a very beginner friendly car. I haven't touched anything on the things here. Nothing on over this side. Feel free to pause the video to take down notes. Supra. Back to turbo, shall we? This is a car that is a very capable machine. It is one of the fastest cars in the selection that I have given you in this league. You will need weight reduction, body rigidity, as usual, power restriction and ballast, the brakes and suspension things, and in terms of power, high lift camshaft, racing crankshaft, customizable computer. I don't have the diff for this, I'll buy that quick. Balance tuning, ports, air filter, silencer. This puts way too much power through it, so leave the intercooler off of this one. Silencer, exhaust manifold as standard. Want the racing hards, standard. Nothing on here. Once again, another beginner friendly car. In terms of tuning, you will want for this league, I have taken it down from to having less power, so it is more balanced with cars. It has a similar amount of horsepower, that being about 350. Magic number, you will see. Here's all the suspension settings. Really no problems with it. You'll see, haven't touched anything to do with gears. And that's that for that car. Now, fun stuff. This, as I'm sure you may know, I haven't power down. Um, this has a real problem in terms of oversteer. It's good on entry, it's good in the mid corner, but it is terrible on corner exit and requires a high amount of finesse to drive. But if you're good with it, she's good. I don't know why, but she is pretty damn slow for having 400 horsepower. This is now that I've tweaked that power, full Group A spec. Stage 1, Stage 2, not Stage 3 on this one. You will need ballast to get it up to the weight of the actual car. You'll need power restrictor, as we saw. This, bore it up, but don't stroke it up. It does have the intercooler to get it up to the power. For this car, in terms of power, you will need that bore up, high lift camshaft, racing crankshaft, fully customizable computer, medium RPM turbo, engine, balance tuning, polished ports. I do have an anti-lag system on this car, but it is set to off. That was for a race in the single player events. Racing air filter, silencer, exhaust manifold, all the good stuff for braking. This does have a brake balance controller in it, and put one in any car that you're on wanting to use. That is something that could help with oversteer and understeer problems. So in terms of an added layer of tuning, you can get yourself that. This does have the titanium connecting rods and pistons and a carbon prop shaft, just to bring the weight of the car down by a tiny bit. In terms of tuning this car, this is where we get into the nitty gritty things here, because I'm going to have to go into the manual adjustments for the gears. You can see here is the necessary suspension settings to make it drivable out of a corner. It still requires a bit of finesse, but it's manageable. You can see, just to help with that again, I put the acceleration sensitivity down on the differential. I have 48 kilograms of ballast positioned dead in the middle of the car, but it could go forwards to help with the oversteer. If you've done all of the upgrades that I have, put the ECU down to 95, right, I want to thank an R31 owner on the internet who helpfully posted all the gear ratios, because when you put the fully customizable manual transmission in, it does it makes the gears a lot longer than it needs to be. So here are the amounts for pretty much stock gearbox for the RB20 DET Skyline. And as you can see, I have that anti-lag off. And here is the rest of it. Now, the car that I will be running in the league, Sierra RS Cosworth. This is another car that's had its power output down slightly. As you can see, that magic number again, 352. No, not this one. I wanted to go into it'll gain about an extra 1 or 2 horsepower after I just changed the oil quick. It's from where I was doing laps earlier in the car, trying to figure out how to balance it. It didn't increase the power. Normally you'll gain an extra horsepower by doing that over the tuning shop. This one does require only 2 weight reductions, power restrictor and ballast. Bore and stroke it up. You will require medium RPM turbo. There you go, you can see what I've got there. Stroke it up. No anti-lag system. As you can see, I have an intercooler on this, but this is as upgraded as I could possibly make it, and then down it so I could balance it. Racing cards, you can see that we've got fully customizable there, and then titanium connecting rods and pistons here. In terms of tuning, it's another one that I've set up personally to understeer, because the car likes to oversteer quite a bit. I have downed these from 115 and 135 to 110 and 130. Much lower, the wheels will rub on the arches and it won't steer properly. 7 on the front, 4 on the rear for anti-roll bar. 22, 22, 32, 32. Max out the natural frequency. That's all good. Differential. Initial torque to 10. Acceleration sensitivity I have at 15, just so it doesn't spin the wheels up out the corner. And braking sensitivity I have on 15, because the brakes are quite sensitive in the car, specifically the rears. If you've done all the upgrades I have, you will need to down the ECU to 88 and the power restrictor to 94 to get the specific amount of power that I have. Put 162 kilograms of ballast in and position that at 16, because if I take this into the middle, look over here at the weight balance, and see it's very, like, almost not balanced at all. Well, see that? If I go there, you can go and attempt to get a balanced 50-50 split, and if you want that, you'd need 35 there. But I suggest keeping it on 16 because it's a very heavy engine, and it wants to carry the car around the corner. In terms of everything else, here is how I've done it. Now, bit of a curveball. Everyone's favourite brick. This is the only car that in-game starts out naturally aspirated, but for the purpose of this, it weighs the same as the 240 turbo saloon car, and produces about 30 horsepower more. You'll need weight reduction stage 1, stage 2, not stage 3. As you can see, high compression pistons do nothing for it. I'm going to put that on there purely to get it close to that, to the 350, so it's even more balanced in terms of weight and power. Here is power restrictor and ballast as usual. Bore it up and stroke it up to get the correct engine size for the earlier 240. You'll need high lift camshaft, racing crank, fully customizable computer. You saw we just put on medium RPM turbocharger to change it from its regular naturally aspirated state. You'll need the LSD. Stroke it up, balance it out, polish the ports, give it intercooler, air filter, silencer, manifold, brake pads, brake discs, suspension, flywheel, tyres, connecting rods and pistons, high lift camshaft. And that's it for the parts there. In terms of tuning, you will require to drop it as low as you possibly can. It's once again pretty oversteery in its state that the car that it gives you to in its regular one. Now I've given it a bit more power, I'm going down that to make it more understeery, and I'm going to just down that to 15. This is another one that I'll have to go into the manual adjustment for that for. Everything here has been adjusted to make it a lot less oversteery than it currently is, or than it would normally be. No power adjustments, but I did give it 2 kilograms of ballast to get it up to the weight of the actual car. A very balanced car, this, already coming in with a 50-50 split. Manual adjustment. I can't get the first 4 gears as low as they were in the actual touring car, but 5th gear is. However, you can rev out 3rd, 4th and 5th gear to the point where they pretty much overlap, so you're getting pretty much peak power out of the car. As is the rest of it, and thanks for watching. I shall leave you now with some replays of my laps around Brands Hatch.